Welcome back into Football Frenzy Plus. A lot of big games going on in the Big Northern Conference.
Yes.
Dixon and Byron was one of them. Another step below that would be Stillman Valley against Genoa Kingston. They matched up in Genoa Kingston tonight, and we'll get you that game all teed up right here.
Yep.
Genoa Kingston, the Cogs, ready to host the Cardinals in a big matchup. And, well, you know, it was certainly a good game. Whoever loses this game, we do know, Anthony, is going to 0-2 in the conference. And these are two teams that are used to being in that playoff picture. Yeah. It's certainly a game that went back and forth. 7-all was the score early, so a defensive battle for sure. And a run up the middle by the Cardinals. They're trying to get back into it. And it was certainly one for sure. Coaches coaching up on the sideline, but eventually the Cardinals, they do get some fortune and get into the end zone for the touchdown. Final from this one was 14-7, Stillman Valley over Genoa Kingston.
That's a tough one, too, losing by just a hair of a touchdown. Fall to 0-2. Well, elsewhere in the conference, we have Oregon taking on Rockford Lutheran here. Into the first, we got Cooper Johnson for the Hawks, turning on the Jets, deking out defenders, put Oregon into the red zone. This is going to set up a 4-yard score from Keaton Salisbury, putting some sizzle on the steak, and the score, 7-0 Hawks. Next possession for Oregon, Cooper Johnson. This time he is going to find Hayter for a 3-yard TD. He had 7 carries for 120 yards, 14-0 Hawks in this one. Now the Crusaders trying to get something going. Instead, the quarterback swarmed by Hawks on this one. The Hawks would soar. Oregon, they would win this one 40-8 and actually outscore Rockford Lutheran 26-0 in the second quarter.
That is surely something, and there was going to be some teams getting outscored, especially when it comes to 8-man football. We've got Christian Life hosting Amboy, who was coming off of a close loss last week. Amboy already up 8-0, looking good, and Caden Heath rumbles down the far sideline, and then it's Jose Lopez who breaks away and picks up a huge gain. Christian Life does bring him down at the 1-yard line. That wouldn't stop Amboy for very long, though, because it's Lopez once again from 3 yards out into the end zone. Tack on the 2. They're up 16-0 at this point, and this is still the first quarter. Amboy makes it 3 for 3 on touchdown drives. Tanner Welsh in the end zone, and he hits Cody Wynn later on the screen. 24-0 the score at this point, and we've got a rout, maybe our biggest rout of the night, 64-12, the final over there as well. Amazing games going on today, Anthony. A lot of implications. We might look back at week 2 and say this is one of the biggest weeks of the year in all 3 conferences, really.
Yeah, and that's really interesting to say so early, because we saw with Byron and Dixon, for example, last season they didn't meet until around week 8 when Byron pulled out a last-second victory, but this one, week 2, to get this victory, yeah, very well could decide the BNC, and it is interesting early on in the season.
Yeah, Lena Winslow and Stockton, that was a late game the last couple of years, but more specifically, the fact that Stockton lost those 2 matchups by combined 46 points, and instead they completely flipped the script. They win 38-14. And I was talking to head coach Rick Aaron earlier this week when we were doing our previews for, we had Dixon and Byron as the game of the week, but Lena Winslow Stockton, we did it on Thursday, and one of the things I didn't put in there was that Rick said whoever wins this game has an inside track to winning the NUIC and getting that higher playoff bid. We know how dominant Lena Winslow is in the 1A playoffs. They beat Stockton last year in those same playoffs, and it's going to be a tougher task to do that again.
It could be we'll definitely have to see as the weeks roll on here. Lena Winslow, definitely a powerhouse in the NUIC, but this has proven that there could be some other powerhouses as well. Should be an interesting week 3 and as we get into the season, but I mean, it almost felt like playoff weather given the chilly temperatures we had today.
Right, and that means that these teams that pulled off these upsets or won the big game that you got to get out the way, Byron, Stockton, Belvedere North in the NIC 10, they're going to be, you cannot slip up one time for the rest of the season because
Yes.
you've been given a golden opportunity. You got your foot in the door. You
Yes.
just got to get through it and get into those playoffs and maybe even further. But that's all the time we have for Football Frenzy Plus. Ryan Bridges, Anthony Ferretti, thanks for sticking around with us for both shows, and we'll see you next time.